Welcome, everybody. Hello, and welcome to Prop Live, your weekly prop and costume making Q&A session. This is Take 2 with Kyle from Fearless Facade. Hello, Kyle. How are you today, a week later?
I'm very well. Thank you very much for asking.
Yes, for those of you that don't know, we tried this Dog and Pony show a week ago, and I suffered audio issues. Kyle suffered internet issues, so we abandoned ship. That episode is lost to the ages unless you watched it live. Then I don't think you can see it.
Yeah.
So we're trying again. We're gonna give it another try. Kyle, you were going to a convention. You went to that convention this last weekend?
No, it's still this weekend.
Oh, one more weekend coming up.
Yeah. Whilst you're at your convention, I'm at my convention.
That's right. I will be at SwarmCon in Savannah, Georgia. I fly out tomorrow morning, so that should be really fun. I'm also going to go bug my buddy Harrison and a couple other friends in the Georgia area, so that should be super fun. Have you gotten all your work done and prep for the con?
No. Very much last minute.
You're gonna have some work this evening, long night maybe.
Yeah. Well, it's already midnight here in the UK.
Oh, so, that's right. Glad we could cut into your convention prep time.
It's totally worth it.
Those of you just joining us, welcome to Prop Live. Kyle here runs a little outfit called Fearless Facade. Pacham. At is it fearlessfacade.com?
It is.
Yes, it is. Where you can go check out some of the really cool stuff he's made. A lot of really cool masks. I like that Darth Vader. A lot of other really great stuff. So everyone go head on over there. Check out his great stuff. Have you worked on anything new in the week since we've last convened?
Yes. Yeah. So many masks. Many masks.
Yeah?
I'm getting there. Recently, this is scary, dude. Yeah. Check this guy out.
Ooh, wow.
This is my take on the Joker.
I see that. Yeah, that is the stuff of nightmares. Yeah, very good.
Yeah. Not very. You can't see so great out of him. He's got very tiny eye holes.
I see that. Yeah. The closer you can get that to your own eyes, the better you'll be able to see. But
yeah.
Any separation. Yeah.
Yeah. Scary motherfucker.
Yes, he is. Very cool. Oh my god, Bonsai Raid. Bonsai Babies. Sending a bunch of people over our way, a local woodworker. Everyone go say hi to Bonsai Baby and give her a follow because she streams woodworking from her shop, which is wicked cool.
Awesome.
Awesome. I've been working on stuff too, and I'll tease I'll show you, but the full video will be out on Monday, but I finished my little Mr. Handy robot, and I couldn't be happier with this little guy. Ta-da!
He's so cute.
He's adorable. All I want to do is make little robots now. So I'll be shooting more video of this later, and that'll go up on Monday. So this guy's really came together. And I made a little, Brittany 3D printed a little bowler hat for him, too. So he's a dapper gentleman. Ta-da.
He's a man about town.
Yes, he is. Robot about town. So that's what I've been working on in the last week, along with getting ready for SwarmCon. Let's see. Do I have anything else to talk about here? No, we covered just about everything last week. Of course, if you didn't watch that episode, then you don't know what I was talking about, but that's fine. I say we just dive right into the questions because we've got a pretty good pile of questions here. Brittany said she could hear me giggling all morning as I was painting that guy. It's true. Cool. Oh, do we want to go? Britt wants to know, why don't we get, since we didn't, people won't have heard the other episode, why don't we get a quick rundown of your mask making process?
Yeah, sure. So what I do then, it's kind of a fusion between traditional Venetian mask making and a few more sort of modern techniques thrown in. So like I mentioned in the last stream, all my masks start out life as a clay sculpt, and now use monster clay as a sculpting, and then they get molded into a stone mold, and then lots of different layers of a special fibrous paper called cartolana. They all get layered on top of each other using PVA glue and water. And then when they come out rock hard, just like resin. And then I paint them up, and
really
you
cool.
get masks.
Now, where did you learn that particular process? Was there a book, a video? Did you go somewhere?
I went somewhere. I went to Venice, Italy,
Oh, yeah.
and I haven't stopped going since. If you haven't been, I would highly recommend it because it's like no place on earth.
We have to go before all the buildings fall into the canals.
Yeah, yeah. That apparently will happen at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely go. It's amazing. Essentially, there's mask shops kind of all over Venice, and a lot of the proper masks that are made by the traditional mask makers. They're like these little old guys sat whittling in their tiny shops, and they're all making the masks in the traditional way. And literally, that's the way I've picked it up. I've been to Venice quite a few times now with my girlfriend, and I always have a bit of a stalk and film and see what they're doing. And that's how I picked it up, yeah, and I haven't stopped since.
That's really great. I can attest for the value of traveling to different parts of the world and see how people do what they do. Because when I was in the UK, I got to go visit the shop at Artifakes and see how they do their thing. And again, it's one of those things where all of this is new to me, but they've literally been doing it for like 20 years. Like they have their process down, and I'm like, I wrote a book on foam fabrication, and they're like, we're way better than you. I'm like, oh. No, they're very charming. They're not jerks about it. But it was great to go see how other people do it around the world, which is fantastic.
Yeah. Everybody does it differently.
Yes, they do, and no one way is the best. It's great to become a very well-rounded maker.
Yes.
All right, cool. Let's dive back in to the questions, kind of where we left off the last time. Let's see here. Ben wants to know, how would I go about making a mold of a helmet? He's thinking about doing something like a stormtrooper. So why don't you go over how you would do that, and then I'll go over how I would do that, because it'd be two very different ways.
Kind of similar though, not too dissimilar. So I don't have any direct experience making a full helmet, because obviously I'm making masks, so that's usually just like a 1/2 mold, 1-part mold. But yeah, I would absolutely probably sculpt that in monster clay if you can do that. Maybe he wants to use peppercorn or something like that. Might be a bit easier for him using the cardstock or foam, probably foam. But then obviously you need to mold that. So I would use a stone mold, which is just using regular plaster. Plaster of Paris works great. I imagine you would use something else like silicone.
So do you just brush layers of plaster on there, just build it out a little bit, or just one good layer?
Yeah, no, just straight on. I'll do the high pour. Yeah. Makes it nice and well, and then just get all the air bubbles out.
So you like make a wall, and then you just fill it right up?
Yeah, the basic box molds. I have huge boxes of plaster everywhere.
Yeah, I was gonna say those molds have got to be rather heavy.
Yes, they are. They do get lighter though, because obviously they carry a lot of water weight, and they can take up to a week to dry actually. So you have to be very patient.
Yep. Like you said, I would do silicone. If it was a full helmet, nowadays I'd probably make a matrix mold, but you could do a brush-on mold. In fact, we have a video on how to do a brush-on mold on our YouTube channel. We'll link to that in the show notes. But the basic process is you mix up a batch of silicone, and then you brush it all over the surface of your mold, or your master, I should say, your helmet. And you've got to brush on several layers to get that thickness that you'll need. And then you need to make a jacket mold. In fact, people will use plaster to make a jacket mold. I've used Bondo. I can't recommend it, but it's what I had at the time. Plasti paste is a good material for that, or fiberglass. A lot of different ways you can make a rigid jacket to hold your silicone mold. Then once that's cured, you can peel away the jacket mold. You can peel away the silicone, leaving your master behind, and then you reassemble the jacket mold. You put the silicone mold into that, and what you've got left is a giant bowl that's helmet shaped that you can pour your casting material into to cast your stormtrooper helmet. Obviously, a very basic rundown on what can be an extremely complicated process. I recommend starting with like something like a mask that just covers the front of your face.
Yeah.
Our video does one of the Dragon Priest masks, which I imagine you've done one of those.
Yes, I do have one of those.
Yeah.
It's not behind me this time.
No.
It's proudly on the wall somewhere.
Yeah, but just having to do the front of the mask. Yeah, here we go. I got it. Boop. Check that out. There's your Dragon Priest mask. That's like a prop maker's rite of passage.
Yes, I know. Skyrim was a big thing.
Yeah. But that'll get you started there. Start with something a little bit smaller, then maybe graduate up to Stormtrooper helmet. That question came from Ben. Thank you very much, Ben, and good luck molding your Stormtrooper helmet. Okay. We've got a very, very active chat going on right now. Prop Tart Bot has posted a link to our molding and casting videos. Go check that out. We've recently reorganized our website, so there's a whole page devoted to just molding and casting with links to all of those videos.
Awesome. I'll go check it out.
Oh, yeah. Organization. We wanted to make it easy for people to actually find all of that stuff. When we have like, we have like 350 videos, and some of them are just me blabbering at the camera, and some of them are actually pretty useful.
They're all useful, Bill.
All right, next question comes from Corium9. He went back to watch Fake Gamer Girl's stream where I mentioned being a bartender. I was on my friend Ashley's live stream while I was down in San Francisco. I was also reminded of Tested's still entitled Jobs podcast. So what were some of those early jobs that formed the way you look at life or work, or how? Or he's basically looking for good early job stories. All right, can you list all the jobs you've had?
It's actually really easy for me.
Yeah.
I've only ever been in the games industry.
Oh, very cool. Like video games or tabletop?
Yeah, video games. I started as QA. I've actually always been in QA, and I've been in quite a few companies, but none of them lasted very long.
Yeah.
It's kind of an unstable industry. I know, well, obviously you kind of worked at Microsoft, and Britt worked at, was it Bungie as well?
Yep, Bungie, Wizards. She was at several jobs as well.
Yeah, so the thing about QA is you're quite disposable, especially when you're new.
Especially after the game has launched.
Yeah, suddenly you have nothing to do.
Yep.
So they just kick you out and you're gone. And that's kind of how I got started, to be honest. And it's where a lot of my influences come from as well. With regards to masks. And
obviously, lots of video game stuff behind you there. Cool. Well, here's my epic list. When I believe I was 15, I started working. I worked at a golf course. I washed golf carts, and the golf cart with a cage on it at the driving range?
The target.
The one you always try and hit?
Yeah.
That was me. And nothing will make you jump quite like getting tagged with a golf ball at like 250 yards.
Yeah.
Just motoring around, minding your own business. Clang!
I'm one of those guys that tries to hit you, unfortunately.
Yeah, to be honest, when I'm at the driving range, I try and hit that guy too.
Yeah.
So that was the first one. And then I worked for a friend of my dad's selling stuff on eBay. He had a lot of antiques he wanted to sell. I knew how to use a computer, so I would make eBay listings for him. That guy also owned a bar. So when I was old enough, I started working at his bar, especially during the summers through college. But I also worked at a beer distributor during college, during the summers. Yes, very good. Actually, is that a Budweiser you have there?
It is Budweiser.
I worked at an Anheuser-Busch distributor, setting up orders during the night. I worked night shift. I believe it was like 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. They were really long night shifts.
Yeah, I've done similar in the games industry.
Oh yeah, that's actually I worked night shift at Microsoft too.
Yeah.
So this was all like before and during college. Then after college, once I had a bachelor's degree, then I went into full-time bartending.
Everyone does this.
Yeah, exactly. For like 2 years too. And then I moved to Seattle. And then I taught high school for a year for some reason. I don't have a degree in teaching. I don't know why they let me teach high schoolers. No. And then I played World of Warcraft for 5 months straight. Completely unemployed. Just played World of Warcraft. Then I worked at Microsoft. Yeah. Then Microsoft. Then prop making. So And I have lots of really fun stories from all of those jobs. And someday maybe I'll get into all of those. But there you go. There's the rundown. That's whenever people tell me like, oh, what should I do to become a prop maker? I'm like, well, it's easy. You start at a golf course, graduate to bartender, then teach high school, then work at Microsoft for 4 years. Then you're ready to be a prop maker.
Time for film.
Yeah. Thank you, Corium9. I guess the best thing you can take away from that is just like having that breadth of experiences really kind of made me a more well-rounded individual. Got to see a lot of life. Yeah. Or you could do what you did and just have the same job forever.
Just play video games and get paid for it. It sucks. Someone's got to do it, though.
Oh, it's rough. All right, our buddy Sam has a question, and he just got a scroll saw, and I want to know if he uses that in his dining room, just like he uses everything else. Sam, if you're in the chat, let me know. Do you have that thing set up in your dining room? All right. He wants to know. He's wondering what kind of blade you found to work best on foam. Yeah. Do you do much with power tools, or do you mostly do sculpting with the clay?
Mostly sculpting. Nothing too nasty, other than when I cut a sculpt in half with that massive saw.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, this is all you, Bill.
All right. Cool. Anything generally with a higher tooth per inch count on blades. So with my bandsaw and the scroll saw, metal cutting blades usually have a higher tooth per inch. So how many jaggedy bits per inch? So a wood cutting blade might have 6 TPI, and a metal cutting blade might have 18. It's just gonna leave a smoother cut through the through your foam. Sam says, no, it's in the spare bedroom, actually. You mean your new workshop? Cool. So there you go. Anything with a higher TPI count. Metal cutting blades are good for that. So there you go, Sam. Enjoy your new scroll saw. I got away with most of what I did in the early years of prop making with just a scroll saw.
Yeah.
Oh, ha! Brittany's pointing out that Sam's scroll saw got named. It is the Elder Scroll Saw. I don't know. I think my scroll saw is much older. It should be the Elder Scroll Saw. All right. Next question comes from Iron Mark Props. Can I make a plaster mold of a foam prop? I have an Iron Man forearm, which I already have. And let's see here. He wants to smooth it out, sand it, add details, and then make a... the question seems to bounce around a bit. But basically, like, could you make a plaster mold of something made out of foam? What do you think?
You would definitely have to seal that foam.
Oh, yeah.
It's very porous. And plaster's quite heavy. So unless it's got some structure to it or it's going to hold that shape, you're probably going to find out that actually you've cast this little crushed arm.
That would be a sad day indeed.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't know until you flipped it over and it was fully dried.
Yeah. And you're really excited and then... I've never tried to do that with foam. I probably wouldn't unless I knew a way of, obviously making it structurally sound and sealing it for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Same thing if you were going to try and make it out of mold out of silicone with that foam. You want to make sure it's not going to deform while it's under all that liquid weight, and make sure that it is really, really sealed with something. Personally, if I'm going to take the time to mold something, I'm probably not going to make it out of foam. I'd rather do something more rigid, something I can carve a lot of really nice detail in. The monster clay you use, you could get lots of really fine detail.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So good luck there, Iron Mark Props, with your plan. All right. Mark, a.k.a. Diamond Dagger, says, for Kyle, he loved your Fallout 4 T60 bucket. Was wondering how did you do the rust? I'm going to find a picture.
Yeah, throw a picture up.
Here we go. I got a picture of a very nice picture right there.
It's a very, very good question. I've seen loads of different techniques, actually, and I'd researched this like a crazy person before I had to do it. But I think I touched on this last time, but Kamui Cosplay threw out an awesome tutorial. I think it was just on Instagram, actually. You should go check out her work because she makes awesome stuff. But essentially, in a nutshell, I've got it all here. Look, it's ready. This stuff is hydrogen peroxide. It's kind of nasty, but if you can get some of this, it's food grade stuff. Also, the main ingredient is iron powder.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. So
any ferrous powder will oxidize, but iron will give you that nice orange color.
Yes, it does. And then it's just a small amount of salt and distilled white vinegar as well, all mixed together. Essentially, you put some glue down. This is what I did with the T60. I put some glue down in the areas that I wanted to have the appearance of rust, sprinkled the iron powder on top once that was dry. You then hit it with a spray of a mixture of the vinegar and the hydrogen peroxide. And it's really magic, actually, and very versatile. You can sort of spray it once and it will rust out nicely. And then if it's not quite that tone that you're after, you can just hit it with it again, and it'll just deepen those rust tones. But nothing looks better than real, genuine rust. So.
The real thing. Very cool.
Yeah.
There are a lot of cool ways to do that. I know Harrison Cricks had a good tutorial, very similar to that process. I like using Sculpt Nouveau. We'll have a link in the show notes to that. They have a good system with acrylic paints for different types of metal, and then different oxidizing solutions to get a different effect. And similarly, they have one that it's called a green patina, but it oxidizes your iron powder or iron paint that they have, their metal coatings. That patina solution will oxidize that a nice like burnt umber color. And then they have another tan solution that you can spray on the same thing that will get lighter oranges out of it. Yeah. So you can really layer it.
It's quite important to get a texture there as well. You can paint rust really nicely, but if it's just flat, it's not going to sell it quite as well as perhaps it could. I've seen people. In fact, I think even someone in the Prop Tarts mentioned just using. I think it was just sugar that they ended up using.
Yep.
And sprinkled that on, but even that just gave it a little bit more substance, and it just helps sell it just that little bit more.
Yeah, when the light catches across it and you see all that nice texture, or when you touch it, you're like, oh, this is really rusty. Actually,
kind of things, just with a few different setups until I got it just right. As you would say, practice first.
Practice on do small scale tests. Take a little spaceship. I got a little spaceship right here. Here's a little slave one, and that's and what I could have done is, like you said, like some glue and some sand or salt or pepper. I guess I don't know.
People use that.
I've heard cinnamon. People use cinnamon because then it actually has that darker color. Yeah, lots of options there. Lots of options for you, Mark. I recommend getting just an everyday object and make it look rusty. Just paint it.
That's what I did. Have a practice as well. Get loads of little samples. I tried it on loads of different kind of things, just with a few different setups until I got it just right. As you would say, practice first.
Practice on do small scale tests. Take a little spaceship. I got a little spaceship right here. Here's a little slave one. Make him look all rusty. I don't know.
Wait. There's lots of great videos on YouTube to cover that.
Yeah. All right, this next one comes in from Brian. He says, I've been researching the different types of paints and clear coats and heard that some yellow over time, enamels and lacquer more than acrylic. From what I read, is yellowing a concern for professionals such as yourselves? What causes it? Can it be prevented? Generally, ultraviolet radiation is what causes yellowing. So if whatever you're painting is going to be left outdoors, that's what's going to cause that problem. Yeah. Most of my stuff lives indoors. It doesn't get a lot of UV. I don't get a lot of UV. I don't know if you can tell from my wonderful pale complexion. I don't go outside very much.
It's England, so me neither.
Yeah, same thing. Same thing with like I was showing off the eyeballs on this guy. I'm pretty sure that it's not technically optically clear resin that I use. That's just Smoothcast 325. I'm pretty sure if I left that next to a window over time, those would yellow. But I'm not too concerned with that.
No.
Worst case scenario, it takes a long time, and you could repaint it or just touch up the paint a little bit.
Yeah. I've actually had a few masks in some local shops near where I live, and some of them have been in a window. for quite some time, but I also clear coat mine, but it's more of a brush on. But I've never actually had that problem. Like you said, it would take time.
Yeah.
To get that.
Other than that, maybe there may be certain coatings and stuff that are better at UV protection. So maybe if you think that might be a concern, do a little research into UV protective finishes.
Yeah.
I bet someone in the woodworking world has a good solution for that. There's all sorts of different ways you can finish and protect your wood projects. So little research will go a long way. So good luck there, Brian. But personally, I haven't had a problem with that. All right. Jacob has a question. I'm making a Crossbones cosplay. I was wondering how to make the mask. Well, he was thinking of starting with a paintball mask. All right, let's see here. I've got a picture. There we go. It is I don't know. You probably can't see the picture, Kyle, but it's a dude with a sort of a relatively plain sort of mask, like a skull type mask. Actually, no, I can just send you the can't I just Skype you the we have a Skype thing and I can just send you the link, I think.
That'll work.
If only I were a professional at this and I understood how the internet worked. There it is. There's a little chat icon. There we go. All right, I sent you a link to the picture.
Wait, so you did.
Crossbones. I don't know who Crossbones is, but cool. I mean, personally, I've seen airsoft masks that look kind of like that. Did you ever play the game Army of Two?
No, but I'm well aware of it. Yes, they have very similar masks, don't they?
Yes, they do, and I've seen those airsoft masks. I'm just gonna look up airsoft mask.
Yeah, they're all very, very similar.
Mm-hmm. So you could even, like, if you were going to use your process, you could even buy a basic airsoft mask and then sculpt the detail onto it like you normally would.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then mold and cast it if you want. If you're going to make a bunch of them, or just do the one. Let's see here. Yeah, Amazon is rife with masks kind of like that. There are a lot of them that are pretty close. You can just modify on top of them.
Yeah.
Very cool. I've actually had people ask me if I would make an airsoft mask, but I have shied away from it because I do not want to be responsible for their eyeballs. Safety. Yeah.
Yeah. Airsoft masks are made a special way, so when you get hit in the face, you don't sustain any damage.
That's true.
I can't speak for anything else.
Yeah, I can't recommend other people try and make their own airsoft masks either, but if you want to make it look cooler, maybe just a paint job or a little bit of modification, just make sure you're not damaging the structural integrity of your safety gear.
Yeah. I imagine there's rules and regulations, actually. You know, if you're in a group or you go to events, you probably can't get in without a official mask.
Yeah. Cool. So, Jacob, that's our options to you. Your idea to do a paintball mask is a good one. Just whatever you could just add You could add layers of plastic, like styrene or Sintra plastic, to sort of build out those materials, those layers. Or you can mold and cast your own, but I wouldn't recommend wearing that to protect your eyes. So long as it's just for if it's just for looks, for cosplay, then you should be just fine.
Yeah, go for it.
Cool. We're actually running a little low on questions. If you guys are watching live and you have a question, head on over to punishedprops.com/live. There's a form there to submit your questions. We have a few more here. We'll start diving through those. But if you guys are watching live and you have a question, just send us send us a question over there. Hoku Props in the chat says, "Don't lose an eye. It costs a lot," and he would know.
Yeah.
All right, next question comes from Toonska. I want to cast a set of horns as a prosthetic. How can I mold the horn in, say, Smoothcast 300 and then skin around the horn skin tight? Oh, this is a skin safe silicone. Not exactly sure the question. I think Oh, I see what they mean. So the horn will be a rigid material, and then there will be a prosthetic on the head that the horn like connects to, so it looks like it's tapered into your actual face.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. I don't have a lot of experience with prosthetics.
No, I don't either, if I'm honest. It's something I'd love to get into. I've watched a lot of Face Off. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with that.
Yep.
And they do all kinds of mad stuff like that. I do know that there are several people, if I can remember the names, there are several people that I follow as well who already sell this kind of thing. So I'd definitely recommend having a look on Facebook, maybe YouTube. There's plenty of makers out there that already make this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Especially for headsets and things like, like the Maleficent kind of horns. Mm-hmm. There's plenty of people that do that for you.
Lightning Cosplay is really
That's
good.
The one.
Yeah, lightningcosplay.com.
Yeah.
Let's see, shop. Let's go to their shop because I know that they sell horns. They do lots of cool stuff. There you go. They sell horns.
Cubes too.
Oh, such cool stuff. The horns, I believe, are usually rigid cast horns like you were talking about earlier. And it looks like a lot of times they will taper it into the head by putting it into a wig or some sort of a headdress. Kind of the way people will do, what are those characters? Twi'leks from Star Wars. So there are ways you can do it without it looking like it's coming out of your head. That would be easier than doing a prosthetic. That's not to say you can't do the prosthetic, but it would be easier. Wow, this fawn one is crazy. It's definitely a wig with horns coming out of it, but it's very, very effective. It looks like those are connected to her head really well. And then if you have a wig, you can use that to hide whatever is holding the horns to your head.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Have you ever done a costume where you've got something big on your head that's a little heavier than... I've always avoided like headwear for mine, but I know some people will have a giant thing and they forget how much weight that is on their neck, or they run into stuff.
Yeah, and then it sort of slumps down and you look like you're sad. I haven't actually done anything with a massive head yet. But yeah, it's probably on my list. I really want to go big this year, actually.
Something you want a big head for this year. Very good. I'm grabbing one more picture here. Another one from Lightning Cosplay. Again, you can see it's a wig with horns coming out of it, but it's extremely effective. It's really, really effective at doing that. I imagine if you're going to stick horns to your skin and then sculpt like skin around it so it looks like the horns are coming out of your skin, you would need a really good adhesive to hold the horns to your head, and they couldn't be too heavy. You might cast them in like an expanding foam, like a urethane foam, and then use something like Pros-Aide, which is a medical adhesive, to stick it to your face.
Yeah, I know that there are some more commercially available ones that you can get hold of, which I would probably recommend if you can get them. This is mainly just for prosthetics and sticking stuff to your face. It should be safe.
Oh, cool. Brittany's just pointed out that all of our questions went to the spam folder again, so we have more questions.
Hey.
There you go, Toonska. Good luck with your horn adventure. Next question comes from Skipro. When making a mask and using clay, how do you do the visor portion? I'm thinking about Master Chief specifically. Thinking about doing it with clay, but his visor seems like it would be difficult. Well, you've got some, maybe not visors, but like eyes, like Iron Man. I see Iron Man and Darth Vader. You got a handful of different ways that you obscure the face. How do you usually do that?
Actually, I did do the T60 helmet is another good example of this. Is this specifically when sculpting? Or the overall?
Well, I think. How about when you're sculpting? Do you take any considerations for the visor?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll actually typically make a template of the visor out of foam first, or even just some paper. Make sure it's symmetrical, and then lay that down where you need it. And then I'll probably use that as my starting point, actually, and then build out from that. So you've already got that visor shape there, sat, ready, waiting for you.
So you kind of just sculpt around that visor.
Yeah, exactly. I do that a lot actually, even for other features on a mask, especially if it's symmetry related. I would absolutely recommend using foam or something that you can make templates with that you can stick directly onto your sculpt. It's going to help you, and it's going to go a long way.
Very cool. And then I imagine after you cast them, you can just cut out that visor part.
Yeah. That's exactly what I do. I've got a weird pot of eyes that I have, which essentially is just cutouts of eyes of every mask that I do. So in the future, when I cast more, I've already got that eye shape there ready, waiting for me, and I can just literally just fit them in because they fit great, and then draw around them, and then I can just cut them out again. So I can keep it consistent that way. So if you're going to do multiple casts or multiple masks, I'd recommend keeping those cutouts and collect some eyes like I'm doing.
What sort of, like for the T60 then, what do you put in place of the visor?
That was it's kind of a semi-transparent acrylic that you can get freely available on the internet. And then I just sort of applied some heat to that and get that nice concave that it's got just to fit in nicely. And then just stick it in behind.
There you go, just glue it in. It looks like Darth Vader has some sort of mesh in front of him.
It does, yeah. Yeah, so this is just, you won't be able to see that at all, actually. It's too dark.
I got that. I have the picture up on the from your website.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. This is actually a sieve. This is plastic sieve, which paints up really great. I have this weird thing. I go to this local shop and I just buy like 10 sieves. They never ask any questions either, but they go great for masks. Also, this one as well, which is that school mask the Raider mask that I was showing as well. Take that out. That also has the sieve in.
Oh, very good.
I got a bit too enthusiastic with the heat gun.
I see that.
But I thought, hey, it's rusty. This works. This is good. It's a happy accident. So.
Hey, do you? Side note: do you do all the photography for your stuff?
Do yes.
Very good.
You're gonna kill me.
Oh yeah.
It's with this.
With your phone? No, the lighting is really great.
Yeah,
the lighting really sells it. Yeah.
Yeah, but the phone camera is actually outstanding. I wouldn't take it with a crappy one. I do have a camera as well, but this is always really convenient. And I'm a big fan of the Pixlr app by Autodesk.
Yes. Oh yeah.
I don't know if, I imagine you've used it. But that's great for editing options as well.
Fantastic. Cool. Well, there you go, C-Skip Pro. A fountain of knowledge coming at your face. Next one is Nick at Modulus Props. He says, he likes the awesome pitted texture that works really well on your T60 mask. Does that come from the texture of the material you use, the casting material, or did you sculpt all of that in?
That's a really good question, actually. It is from the material I use. It's a really cool byproduct of it, actually, because I use the Cartolana, which is this fibrous paper that I talked about. One of the cool things about it is when you pull it out of the mold, you're going to get this layering effect of all the different paper on top of each other. Now, if you don't sand that out, which I didn't as much on the T60, when you paint across it, because I do a lot of dry brushing, it's going to pick up that detail really nicely. And it leaves these great grooves and lines, and it gives it that rough, pitted appearance.
Very cool. That's neat. It's kind of neat when the specific process gives you an end result that you can play with.
Yeah,
I like that.
You can go over and sculpt it and make it a lot smoother if you wanted to, but I'd recommend doing that if you want a pitted texture.
That was from Nick at Modulus Props. Next one, Sylvan says, are there any alternates for gluing a mask to your face other than spirit gum? I mentioned Pros-Aide earlier. Pros-Aide is like spirit gum on crack. Make sure you have the remover. There is the Pros-Aide adhesive and the remover. Buy both of them. Keep the remover in your pocket all day long, because there will come a time where you want that to come off your face and you don't want to have to peel it off, because a medical adhesive is meant to hold like skin together, and it'll work.
Yeah, it's going to do the job. I don't actually know of anything other than the spirit gum is what I was thinking of prior, one of the questions previous. But other than that, I'm not aware.
Yeah, the Pros-Aide's really And you may have to buy it from like a medical supply place because it's for medical purposes. Some beauty stores might have it, but make sure you get the remover. What else was I gonna say? I did a Robin mask a while ago, a rubber mask, and I used spirit gum for that, and that worked pretty well all day long. Any place like right here, wherever I scrunched my face, over time that peeled away, but it stayed on my face all day long. It just snuck away on a couple of spots. So spirit gum works pretty well, but if you want to go all out, go get your Pros-Aide. We'll find it. We'll try and find a link. I can't promise we'll find one, but we'll try and find a link and put it in the show notes. Second Nature Effects in the chat says 244 Wonder Fluid is best for removing prosthetic adhesives. That's really good. 244 Wonder Fluid. Again, we'll try and find a link to that and put it in the show notes as well. All right, that came from Sylvan. Let's see here. Sean says, what would you suggest to combat warping when 3D printing in ABS for longer prints, a 24-hour long print? Kyle, you have any experience with 3D printing?
I do not.
All right.
I see yours behind you. So
I'll take care of this one. First, I'd recommend going and checking out the 3D Printing Nerd on YouTube. Joel is a really cool guy, a local dude. I haven't met him yet, but we've been chatting a whole bunch. He does a lot of like covering stuff around 3D printers. I have one 3D printer that I've ever used, so my experience is limited to just that. What we've found, we use Simplify 3D for getting the files ready to print. You can make I believe it's called a brim or a skirt. Basically, it's a line that traces the outline of your print. So if I'm printing this thing here, on the bed, before it starts printing this thing, it prints a line around this, and it's offset. There's a gap in between that line and your piece. So I made that offset 0, so that line traces the outside of this and connects to it, so that the whole exterior of my print should be glued down with a nice brim, a nice wide area of material, especially if you're printing long, thin pieces. It's going to have that brim that should keep it glued down during the rest of the printing process. There are lots of different that my particular example is with PLA on my printer. So ABS might be a completely different beast. You can get printed beds, you can put down tape, you can put down hairspray, a lot of different things. Go check out Joel's channel. Oh, again, we'll have a link to that in the show notes. But that's how I solve it on my printer. So there you go. That is a pain when something comes off the print bed and you see it should be flat on there and half of it's like done this. You're like, crap.
Yeah. How'd you go about solving that?
I just printed again.
Yeah.
Just throw it away.
Wait, though.
For a 24-hour print, that's a lot of plastic.
Go back to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
right. Roku San Cosplay says, have you worked with Epsilon from Smooth On Foam? I have. I sure have.
I know you have. I have not.
You have not. All right, I'll take this one again. Yeah, it's an epoxy resin, and the features are that it is self-leveling, so you get a nice smooth surface on whatever you do, and it is rigid. I recommend using many layers, at least 3 or 4, and sanding between every couple layers to get a nice surface. Just be wary that it is rigid, and if your armor is supposed to flex at all, it will crack. But yeah.
Yeah. I use just regular gesso for my masks, which you couldn't use for armor if you were going to flex on it, but it works great for my masks. And Vader's got it as well, and it gives it that extra rigidity.
Yeah,
it's going to be a lot harder, and a nice sandable surface. And it's
for a friend who plays a foam combat LARP. How would you suggest doing the wings? First, I have to look up the wings. I can't recall the Tier 5 priest armor. I did play a priest, but I never. Did you ever play World of Warcraft?
I did not. This is a boat that I've missed. I'm well aware.
Let's see, how are we doing? We got about 15 minutes left. We got a very active chat. This is great. You guys are doing awesome. We got a bunch more questions. Let's keep rolling. Jacob, different Jacob, I think. He says, I'm looking to do the WoW Tier 5 priest shoulders out of foam for a friend who plays a foam combat LARP. How would you suggest doing the wings? First, I have to look up the wings. I can't recall the tier 5 priest armor. I did play a priest, but I never. Did you ever play World of Warcraft?
I did not. This is a boat that I've missed. I'm well aware of it though. Who isn't?
Oh, of course. Did you ever play any MMOs?
A lot. I played the Skyrim Online one that they ended up bringing out eventually, the Elder Scrolls.
Yeah.
But that's a lot more later on.
All right, I found a picture. This is the tier 5 preset. The wings aren't like fully expanded wings. They're just kind of like shoulder
okay.
Sort of implied wings, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't have to worry about, like, wings that extend out from your body can be really tricky because you've got to support them somehow. But these could just be sculpted out of foam or whatever. Where'd the question go? Okay, let's see. How do you suggest doing it? 1 piece, 2 piece? If not, I would probably build them separately than the pauldrons, maybe so you can take them apart for travel.
Yeah, definitely.
Actually, Kyle, you do lots of masks. Have you ever done any full costumes?
I have actually.
I don't see any. Your website is all the masks.
It is all masks. My main hub is kind of on Facebook actually.
Yes. I'll go bring that up.
Yeah. My full costume is kind of your fault actually. Your foam influence has reached the UK. I did it was kind of a Skyrim / Iron Man crossover costume.
Oh my.
I might have posted it a while ago, but essentially all of the armor, I had a couple of shoulder pieces, a chest piece, some leg pieces, all foam, and all your fault. It was good fun, and then there was an Iron Man mask to go with it as well. But yeah, I have played with foam, similar to the L200 stuff.
Very, very good. Oh yeah, here we go. I found a picture. Boom! There we go. It's a Iron Skyrim man.
Yeah,
that's cool. That's fun. You can see the influences from all the things. I like the glowing arc reactor in the chest. That's a nice touch.
Yes, I had eyes as well. I'm not sure which photo you just used.
Oh yeah,
I couldn't see a damn thing.
No. Cool. Well, yeah. So yeah, similar to that, just like sculpt out your pieces like you would normal. And the nice thing about that, those are kind of tall shoulder pieces. But if they're like a hollow skin of foam that you build up, they'll be nice and light.
Yeah. If they're not, you can always use some kind of armature wire inside just to hold that shape. Yeah. I'll do that occasionally.
Yeah. There you go. Other Jacob, good luck with that build. Another one from C Skip Pro. When writing off things for taxes, how do you determine what you can and cannot write off? I have tried, talking about a portion of your house. Just curious how you might determine that. I don't determine, he says, without asking an accountant. Okay, here's your problem. Ask an accountant. I literally hired an accountant for an hour to come into my house and tell me what I can and cannot write off. And I made a list. That's exactly what I think it cost me $90 for an hour of her time. So, which by the way, made me want to quit being a prop maker and start being an accountant. But talk to an accountant. I was gonna talk to her about like finances and all this other stuff. She said the only thing that was really important we talk about is what I can deduct on my taxes, including things like all these Legos in my office that apparently I could deduct. I was like, I'll be right back. I'm going to go to the Lego store right now with my business card.
Everyone needs toys.
Yeah, but when it comes to percentage of your house, what percentage of your house do you use for business? So for me, the entire bottom half plus some of upstairs for Brittany's office counts. So you can deduct a percentage of your mortgage or rent based on that. Again, talk to an accountant for more specifics. Your car, if you use it for business, track the mileage. However many miles are used for business. Again, a percentage of all the car expenses based on mileage can be deducted that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a complicated thing, so definitely talk to an accountant. I don't know why you gave me that stipulation without asking an accountant. That is the best way to do it. $90 well spent.
They're good out of it.
Yeah, well spent. Yeah. Especially because she gave me the go ahead to deduct Lego. So. All right. Star Wolf Studios has a question. How would you recommend building a face form to build masks on top of? That's a great question. Do you have a head form that you build stuff on top of?
I actually don't. I've mentioned this before, but I've measured out my face.
That's right.
So I'm very familiar with my face measurements, and I'll draw it down onto the base of whatever I'm sculpting on top of, and then I don't stray from those measurements. But I would absolutely recommend doing some kind of Lifecast if you can. That's what I'm going to do anyway. I need it now. I'm at the stage now where I want that accuracy every single time. I need that consistency. So
yeah. You can buy a mask. I know Monster Makers.
Yes, they do.
They have some good default male and female heads you can buy.
Yeah.
Or you can
Not too expensive.
Yeah, you could do a life cast of yourself too, which we have a video. We'll put a link to that in the show notes. Of doing a plaster casting of not my face, my twin brother's face. It's a good video. Actually, no, the video is Will. My old shopmate. It's fun. It's a fun video. You should just watch it for the poop jokes because it's really funny. You'll also learn something. But we also cast my brother's head. So I have a copy of very close to my face. And if I was going to sculpt stuff, I'd totally just sculpt it right on there.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, C Skip Rose in the chat. He says, I always assumed people just intuitively know this stuff, talking about taxes. Absolutely not. I know nothing about it. I defer to better people, and I pay them money so they can help me. Money well spent. Boat. Yes, indeed. All right, Star Wolf Studios. There's some stuff for you to work on. Next one comes from Craft Castiglione. He says, what is your preferred matte finish? A rattle can or an airbrush? What do you use to like to clear coat your mask, or do you clear coat your mask?
I do. Yes. A bit of both. I did used to use rattle cans, but there's a lot of inconsistency there. The English weather doesn't help. Yes. Really doesn't help, especially during the winter. So I ended up using a brush-on one actually. Which if you get a nice soft brush, nothing with hard edges, it works for me anyway. If you're working on a mask or something that's really not that big, then you can definitely go ahead and use a brush on. But if you're talking about doing something like a full costume, then probably an airbrush or a spray can for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't have any one method that I use all the time. If I'm going to use a rattle can for a matte finish, Krylon's 1311 matte is really good. You can usually buy that at Michael's. I also have a rattle can of matte varnish that I use on foam because it's very flexible, which is a huge plus. Yep. I also have different bottles of mystery matte finish that I use in my airbrush. I have some stuff I bought years ago. I have no idea what it is. The bottle doesn't say what it is, but it leaves a really nice matte finish.
It works.
Yeah. And for doing like little models and stuff, having an airbrush to be able to do it, which is great. I've been using Aqua Gloss, which is made by Alclad, which is a really good gloss finish for metallic stuff. Yeah. I don't know. The list goes on. There's lots of different ways to do your
I'd love to get my hand on some Alclad stuff because their stuff apparently is fantastic. Everyone I talk to is like, yeah, it's legit.
Really, really cool. Well, you'll have to come over to our side of the pond at some point, and we'll load you up with paint.
Yes, and try and get it home again.
Yeah. All right. Alan wants to know. Oh no, wait, Joe. Alan's next. You wait your turn, Alan. Joe wants to know. How long does it normally take to sculpt a mask, and what do you use to sculpt on top of? Throwing it to you.
Definitely depends on what kind of mask you're working on.
Well, how about just like, let's say what was that, Joker one? Here, I'll bring up a picture. How long did it take to do Joker?
This guy. Because I don't do this full time, I do have to do the 9 to 5. I do this in my spare time, so I'll always bit and bob on it sort of every day. But I think as a total, probably for a Joker mask anyway, probably no more than sort of 4 or 5 hours. But I really take my time with it though and make sure that I get it right. I'm really anal about symmetry as well. If it doesn't look quite symmetrical, I'm not happy with it. So, but take your time. One of the best mask makers in Venice, I actually gave him a mask and he was really happy with it, which is nice. But the best advice he gave me was just take your time. If you're not doing a commission, if you're not on any kind of time constraint, then what's the hurry? Take your time, get it right, and it should come out great.
Yeah. And then for sculpting, do you just start with a big blob of clay on like a piece of a board or something, or do you have a turntable that you work on?
I normally put it on a board. Sometimes I'll put something as a core. Maybe you can get sort of the like foam half domes that you can sort of stick down. That I'll use just to fill that negative void and save some clay really. But otherwise, yeah, I just use monster clay. Very
cool. And then you just reuse that monster clay forever and ever.
The gift that keeps on giving, as you said.
Second Nature Effects in the chat is pointing out also talking about the last question. Humidity can play a big role in the different paints you use for your clear coat. Yeah.
Yes.
Funny enough, I live in Seattle where apparently it rains all the time. I work in my basement. It is not humid down here. Paint dries awesome. So long as it's warm enough, paint dries great. Friends of mine in California, which apparently is a desert, have had moisture issues. Kind of weird. So having a barometer on hand actually makes sense, and using a dehumidifier in your workspace can help a lot with that.
Yes, definitely. I had to do that.
Yeah. All right, now that last one was Joe. This next one is Alan. It's your turn, Alan. He says, I have worn eyeglasses for 30 years. So have I. I've never owned contact lenses. There you go. Halloween masks were always crap because they didn't accommodate my glasses. Any ideas for working my prescription into full face masks? That's a really great question. I mean, my solution has always been just to... I have some contact lenses, so I'll wear my contacts. But what if you had to, let's say Darth Vader there, instead of having that mesh? How do you think you'd go about putting like prescription lenses in there?
That's insane. Amazing question. I think if you could get hold of the lenses themselves, just as individuals without the frames, and if they fit quite nicely into the same kind of gap, or maybe you could put a nice border around in foam or something that would help accommodate them.
Right.
I'd probably go about doing something like that. But otherwise, pick costumes that have glasses, man.
Yeah. That's a good solution there. You could be Gordon Freeman.
Yeah.
You can also get lenses, depending on your prescription and everything. You can get lenses pretty cheap online now. There's like, I think it's like $39glasses.com. Except when I ordered glasses there, it ended up costing me like $100. I don't know how that worked out, but my eyes are really bad, so I needed weird lenses. But maybe get like buy cheap prescription lenses online that are big, and then you could like trim the outside with a Dremel. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
That might work. All right, let's grab one more here from FU1212Y Furry on Twitch. Have you ever just grabbed the foam and started cutting and gluing together without a template? Sounds hard, but can it be done? No, I always build templates.
I always build templates.
Yeah. Usually my first template is like just some scrap foam that I have. Like if I'm doing a helmet, I'll build it once out of foam and then I'll cut that apart and then make really nice templates in paper and then build it again. But no, I don't go all crazy freeform. I'm a planner. I'm
also a planner. I buy the big rolls of craft paper. That's craft with a K. It's like that brown wrapping paper. It's really cheap in the UK, anywhere I imagine. And I'll just make as many templates as I need out of it. It comes on huge rolls, so you can scale that as per your need. I would definitely recommend making templates first.
So do I. And that is a great place to end it. Hey, Kyle, thank you again so much for coming back and hanging
We
out.
made it.
This hour went by much better than the last one.
It
Where
did.
should everyone go to check out all your stuff?
You can catch me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, fearlessfacade.com. My biggest following is on Facebook at the moment.
Very cool. But if folks go on over to fearlessfacade.com, I imagine all the links are there,
Yeah.
including pictures and including links to your store, like on Etsy or eBay. I'm just clicking. Oh, Etsy is empty. Don't go there.
Yeah, don't go there yet. It needs filling. After my convention.
Very, very good. Cool. All right. Well, thank you again so much for hanging out with us this week. And
Thank you for having me.
Thank you everyone else for hanging out with us over on Twitch. You guys are awesome. Your questions are fantastic. You guys are great. You prop tarts. And I will be here next week for another episode of Prop Live. So stick around. We'll see you then.